making an applique from scratch in IQ. That's what this is about. The first thing I am going to do, I'm going to pick out an applique. So if we go down here to the Shapes button, right there, click on that. Now there are 30 different shapes. Guess what? There are 30 different applique shapes that comes built into your machine. And as exciting as that is, just wait, there's more. This icon here. So you couldn't use all 30 of those as an applique. However, there are quite a few there. I love these hearts on this screen. They're kind of funky and a little wobbly and stuff. But yeah, there's some great applique shapes here. So let's see, what applique do we want to make tonight? Okay, so I am going to go back to my first screen. And I am going to do, I want to do a star. 5-pointed star. I'm going to click that. However, first I am going to cancel. Do I want to do that? Yes. So the first thing you need to do is go up here to this. See these 4 boxes right here? That is your line properties. So what that does, it controls what kind of stitches you're going to tell it you want it to make. So I clicked on that little menu. It looks like the page. Let me just go back so you can see it again. This right here is the settings screen for line properties. And here I want, because what I'm going to do first, I'm going to have it stitched. I want to stitch down a placement stitch for my applique in the hoop. I just want a single stitch. And I'm just going to have it say black on this one and click on OK. I'm going to go to the settings menu, the shape menu. I'm going to click on my star. OK. Now just put that shape on my screen, right? Right. So next what I want to do, I want to size this. So I'm going to click on size. Now I have a 5x7 hoop set up that I want to do this with. So you can see right up here it tells you what the size of that star is right now. That won't fit in a 5x7 hoop. I can make it bigger or I can make it smaller. For me, for tonight, I want it smaller. So this first icon right here will make something, shrink something smaller equally around all 4 sides. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring it down until those numbers are both in the 4s, close enough. That works. Okay, so and now I'm going to click on OK. And that's what I want. That is going to be my placement stitch. So I'm going to click on Next. And you can see here it's telling me it's black single stitch. This right here. That's what I want. Now, before I go away from here, I'm also going to have to do a tack down stitch. Exactly the same shape and size. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to save this in my pocket down here. I'm going to save this into the machine. Okay. Because when I come back, I want to pull up the exact same size again. Now we'll click on Preview. Okay. And now I'm going to click on Set. And just click on OK. Now we're in the embroidery edit screen. All right, there's the size of my applique. So what that's going to do, it's going to stitch down and out that outline on my background fabric. and then I'll place my applique fabric on top of it. Okay, so I do not want to hit embroidery yet. Now I want to add to this. Click on Add, IQ Designer, and I'm going to pull something out of my pocket now because I already saved that star. Machine, right here. There's what I had just saved. So I want to click on that and set. And there's my exact size, shape and size of star. This will now be a tack down stitch. So I'm going to click on Next and Preview. OK. And Set. OK. Now you see how I just added up another layer. So it's going to do this once and then twice. What I forgot to do, I want to change my secondary color though. So I'm just going to do that. You should have each one of these steps a different color of thread regardless of what actual color of thread you're going to use. I'm going to change that to red. Okay. There. So the black one will be my placement stitch. So and we're going to stitch this out when I'm done, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So that would be my placement stitch. Would stitch down in the hoop. I'll place my applique fabric on top of this shape, and then this will stitch down my applique fabric on top of the shape that we stitched in step 1. Okay? So now I need to go back again. I need to add another layer of stitching. Add. IQ, and we're going to pull that shape out again, out of the machine. All the time I'm doing this, I'm using the mouse. I have plugged into I'm using the mouse right now. I'm going to pull up my star. Okay, set. Now, I'm going to click on Next. Now, this layer is actually going to be the applique stitches around this. So I don't want it a straight stitch because I want to cover up that raw edge. So next, we're going to click on this. Okay. Now here are my choices right up here. Oops, right up here for my decorative applique stitching. Bean stitch, no, I could do a zigzag, or I could do a candle wicking stitch around it, or I could do this decorative chain stitch. I love this decorative chain stitch, but I'm going to do totally traditional. Then I'm going to do a zigzag. I'll highlight that. I'm going to make this a different color yet again. I'm going to select a blue for it. Even though I'm not going to use blue thread, I am going to select that. And I'm going to click on OK. OK. So now you can see it has blue selected and that. And what it did, it automatically changed the stitch color from black to blue and changed it from a straight stitch to a zigzag stitch. Now down here, I can adjust that zigzag stitch. It's set for 0.08 inches right now. Let's look at that in a millimeter. It's easy to swap back and forth from inches to millimeters. So I think it's on 8. Yes, right here. I'm going to go back to millimeters. Right there, it's on page 8, right at the very top. I'm going to select OK. So, its default setting is a 2 millimeter zigzag. I want mine just a little bit wider than that. So I'm going to click on that. And I am going to go up to a 3 mil zigzag on this one. Just because I can. And I'm going to click Set. I want to make sure I get good coverage around that raw edge, okay? And now I'm going to preview it. Okay. See there? I'm going to go in. You can see that zigzag stitch. Yum. Okay, now we're going to set it. Okay. And there. So I could stop here and go ahead and do my applique, but you know what? There's another feature in that IQ I really, really like. So I'm going to go back to add. And I am going to go to IQ. And I'm going to pull up my original star design that I saved to begin with. Right here. Set. Can I do it this way? Let me think for a sec. I don't think I can. Yes, I can. So I'm going to go up here to my line properties menu. I do not want that to stitch out what I just selected. I just want there to be a shadow there. So I'm going to select on OK. And now I am going to hit the fill bucket. And I am going to zoom in so I can see it a little better. And one more time. And now I am going to fill that with what I just selected. I don't want this to stitch. So watch what happens to the color of it. It just turned gray. See that? It was dark black. Then it turned like a charcoal gray. That's what I want. Now I'm going to zoom back out to 100%. That's what I want. Because you know what? I want to put a pretty fill stitch in there. So I'm going to go to the region properties menu. And I'm going to select on this one right here. And one more time. Whew, and this is my favorite part of IQ Designer is this menu right here. I love this menu. And let's see, what fabric? Aha. So here is the fabric that's going to be the actual applique that one of these fills is going to go on. Right here. Okay. It's a Tula pink fabric. That's going to be our applique fabric. So keeping that in mind, anything really swirly would be totally lost, so we need to go with a geometric type of a print. Let's see here. And I think I am going to do... I'm just going to do the circles because I love pebbles anyway. It's one of my favorite quilting patterns. So what I want to do? Yep, that's what we're going to do. Then I'm going to click on OK. And let's see. I am going to do this one in yellow. Okay. So I'm going to go in and you can see that star in there. It's really pale, but that's okay. Because now I'm going to click the fill bucket for my region in my region properties and just click on the inside of that faded star. And there we go. I like that. I like that a lot. So next I'm going to click on next. And here you can see, so that's not the actual size. So when we hit preview, I'm just going to go ahead and click on preview without changing anything else here. Preview. And click on OK. I can always go back. And there's the size of it. It's really not bad. But I think it would be better, maybe a little smaller than that. So I'm going to click on this 100%, and you can go back and forth as many times as you want to. Okay? So I'm going to drop that down to 75. Okay? And set, and preview, and OK. Oh, no, I like that a little better. Hand cramp. Yes, I like that one a little bit better. So let's return again. And I want to make sure my outline is on. Now, this is a big contention with a lot of people. Some people prefer it off. Some people prefer it on. However, if you have that outline off, you're going to get a lot of jump stitches, because every place where there is not a complete circle, it's going to tie off, cut, and jump. That's okay on an applique, because you're not going to see the back of that applique in your finished product. However, if you're actually quilting in the hoop and you use one of these, and this is what next week is about, but there's some tricks to clean up the back of a finished quilt when you have your quilt sandwich in there. And turning on that outline feature right here, that will eliminate having all those little jump stitches all the way around a design. Think of a Hoffman Dream Panel flower. You outline that leaf, fill it in with that, and turn outline on. You don't get none of those jump stitches and knots on the back of your quilt. But I'll tell you all about that next week. We're doing applique now. So this is set up just how I want it. Here we go. And I'm going to click on set. Okay, focus. Come on, camera. Okay, preview. Okay, and there it is. Now I'm going to set it. Okay, and there's what it'll look like. As you can see, there's 4 steps to this, and each one I have a different color. Well, guess what? I'm using one color of thread for each one of those steps. I want each step clearly defined, though, because that makes the machine pause. If it was all the same color, it could just move right on from one color to the next and not take a pause between steps. So by doing it this way, you're telling the machine to stop so you can change thread colors, or in our case, lay down fabric and trim it when we have to. So we're all set now. This is all set to stitch out. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to save it to memory. I'm going to click on my little machine. There we go. All nice and safe. Now I'm going to click on embroidery. Okay, there we go. So what I want to do now, though, I want to see the background fabric in my hoop in my embroidery edit screen. So I've already hooped this. Let's see here. This is my 5x7 hoop. Has some beautiful sheet music fabric. I'm going to put that Tula Pink star on. This one right up here. Photo frame for easy positioning. Okay, that's what I'm going to select. I'm going to hold this down, hopefully where y'all can see the screen as well. I got to raise it. Hold 2, 1. Got it. Now I'm going to send it to the machine. Sending. Sent to embroidery. Click on OK. Now if I had selected one of these down here, it would have sent it to IQ instead. That's what we'll be doing next Friday night. We're going to be using the buttons down here on IQ. So there's the message that came up on my screen when I just sent that to, from my positioning from the embroidery app to that. So image was sent from the mobile app update. Okay. Attach the frame used in the image. Well, I guess I should do that next. Right there. Now we're going to click on OK here. Okay. Now you can see my applique, my design, where it would be on the embroiderable area of that hoop. And you know what? I could move it now. I could go up here to layout, move, or maybe up. I'm just going to put it back into the center. That's that little center button for it. Centers it in the hoop. Click on OK. Go back to layout. And now we have 4 steps to do. Okay. And what it's going to do, it's just going to stitch down a straight stitch. And this is going to be the shape of my applique. Now, what I have underneath this fabric is no-show mesh stabilizer. Why the quilting? Yes. So now it is going to stitch down a tack down stitch. And I should have had that up just a hair. But that's okay because it will get covered with the zigzag stitch. Trying to hold the camera at the right angle so it does not keep trying to autofocus. Unfortunately, this camera I'm holding, I cannot turn the autofocus off. That's why I have to hold it kind of still. I am working on it. Okay, now we have our tack down stitch. Now I'm going to cut away the excess fabric all the way around. Darn it. I'm going to take my hoop out. So I just find it easier to do that with that. And I need my little curvy handled scissors. Okay, so I'm going to use these little embroidery scissors instead. I'm going to keep it close, and what you want to do is just cut it up close to that stitching. So I have that all nice and trimmed. Okay, now we're going to go to step 3, which is the actual applique. I could have done my decorative embroidery right now if I'd wanted to, but I didn't. But you know what? I'll show you a little trick. If you've built your applique design and you had wanted to put that decorative quilting stitching in before instead of last. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do it out of sequence. Now you can't move it around on this screen. For instance, I want to do the goldenrod next, but it's wanting to do the zigzag blue stitch next. So all you do is go right down here. You see the plus and minus with the needle? Tap on that. And you can see right there what's next. The down arrow. We're going to do that next instead of the way I originally programmed it. So I'm just going to hold it right here. I'm going to click on OK over here. Okay. I'm going to get out of the layout screen. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Then I'll have to go back in and tell it to do the zigzag stitch after this. So next we're going to do presser foot down and the start and stop button. And we'll do our decorative pebbled embroidery quilting stitch next. Okay. Woohoo! Now, it says it has finished embroidering because I skipped a step. You see here? So I'm going to click on OK. Now, I'm going to click on my needle plus and minus, and I'm going to go, there's my positioning stitch, placement stitch. There's my red tack down stitch. And there's the electric blue zigzag stitch that we skipped earlier that we're going to stitch out now. So we're going to do that next. Okay. So we're all set. This is about, it says about 1 minute. We'll see about that. So press your foot down, start and stop button. And we're now going to do our actual applique stitch. And that's all there is to it. It's all done. Now, wasn't that easy? Truly, it's not that difficult to do. It just, and don't be afraid if you mess up, because, hey, that's just part of the fun of it, right? And there are no messings up. It's all a learning experience. And even boo-boo, what I call boo-boo pieces, hey, I save my boo-boo pieces and I will make them into another quilt. Because guess what? If you have a boo-boo somewhere, you can applique over that boo-boo and no one will ever know. And you just saw how easy it is to do the appliques. This would actually be pretty for a Christmas. I didn't even think I was doing Christmas colors, but that would actually be very nice on a Christmas quilt. I'm going to switch to my face camera now. And I'll hold this up so we can see it. Thank you, Tanya. Awesome. Okay, let's go back to our face cam. Okay, so I'm going to hold this up. Holy, what? You know what, guys? I'm amazed that this came out, because I was just talking about boo-boos. When I hooped it, I could have swore I had a piece of stabilizer under it. Here it is. I'm going to flip it on the back. I see it over there on the cutting table now. I forgot to hoop my stabilizer underneath it. Oopsie. But it's still pretty, and it still works. Wow, I'm kind of surprised it actually did as well as it did without zero stabilizer. But there it is.